Ooh.
Hey, don't spook me like that.
Okay.
Today on Desk Pop, we're talking about childhood fears and some Pokemon updates.
Okay.
All right.
Hello.
Howdy.
It's your favorite person in the whole wide world, Andy and Bryan.
Oh, we're one person.
We're one person.
That's
It's
nice.
finally happened. We've merged. We got in an argument and are now in our get along shirt. And we
Aw.
are now considered one person.
I have the right arm.
And I have every other limb.
Yep. That's
So
it.
that's how this works.
That's the shirt.
If we were Power Rangers, I would be controlling the legs and the left arm of the Megazord, and Bryan would be the right arm.
I'm the right arm, and I'm here to jerk something off.
Speaking of intros, here's ours.
Wow. Wow, that was so good.
How smooth am I?
Wow.
Welcome to Desk Pop.
Welcome.
That I always try to go out of my way to make sure to say the name of the podcast
I appreciate
in
that
the
because
first couple of seconds, just to
Yeah.
remind us what we're doing, and to remind the listeners that they are not listening to music or
No.
the last podcast on the left. They are listening to
Yeah.
Desk Pop.
Because sometimes I forget just because like we sound so similar, you know?
Sometimes I forget that we're not talking about murder.
Yeah. Y'all want to hear some true crime stories? Because we're not telling.
Literally listen to anything else.
Every other podcast in the
Every
world.
other podcast it has a
Sorry.
not sorry.
Ooh.
That's the name of our other podcast.
Whoa. That's our true crime podcast. Sorry, not sorry.
sorry, not sorry.
And that's the
We interview murderers who
we-
don't regret their
yeah.
murder. Sorry, not sorry.
We are murderer apologists.
You
just
know-
to be clear.
I'm pretty sure Netflix is going to release a documentary called Sorry, Not Sorry, the story of some notorious murderer. I'm sure that's going to happen.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, the
There's still room for O.J. Simpson.
possibilities, which O.J. Simpson has his own thoughts on the matter.
Yes.
He recently joined Twitter.
Yes, he did. I know you were very giddy to show that to me and his
Yes.
messaging glory.
Yes.
And I was very excited to partake and see these messages. It was wonderful.
So O.J. Simpson has recently joined the world of Twitter and immediately has committed some very weird messaging. I don't know. He slid in the DMs, but you know what he slid in the DMs with? A knife. So multiple knives.
Yes.
Yes.
Very fitting for him and very interesting for us to cover in our podcast.
Yeah.
See, we're not, and I like how we made a joke about not covering murders, but we are talking about a murderer.
And here's how he did it, or how you would have done it.
Did that book ever release?
No, I believe the publishing company dropped it.
I remember that, but I wasn't sure if
I
the
don't
book
know.
ended up selling.
Yeah, I don't know. I can look that up right now.
I mean, I guess we could pirate it. I wouldn't want to buy it because I don't want him to profit.
to support OJ.
It's just weird how he's kind of, I mean, a lot of people are still against him, but overall, I think he's kind of off the hook. Everyone just kind of laughs and shrugs it off. Like, he did it. And then that's it.
I cannot tell if these are actual like
I remember the cover of the book had huge letters that said, I did it. And then inside of the I, it said, if I.
Yeah, here it is. If I Did It is a book by ghostwriter Pablo something and O.J. Simpson, in which O.J. Simpson puts forth a hypothetical description of the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. Simpson's former manager, Norman Pardo, claimed that Simpson was not involved in writing the book, but rather accepted, against Pedro's advice, $600,000 from Reagan Books and News Corporation to say he had written it and conduct an interview. The book was originally due to be published by Reagan Books, an imprint of HarperCollins. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, first release and its cancellation. So
okay, so the world will not get to know how he imagined himself doing it.
Yeah, well, I think there's a whole thing, and I don't know necessarily I'm not too familiar with the laws, but I know in
Neither is OJ.
Neither is OJ. But in my copyright law class, basically there's something about if a killer tries to release a book to like profit off of it. I think someone tried to make that illegal. Like, I don't know. There's some weird stuff about killers writing books.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like they tried to take, I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable enough on the subject to talk about it freely right now without looking anything up, but look it up if you want. It's interesting, I guess.
Yes. And I implore you to always, be open to learning new things about the world on
Learn
the internet.
a new thing every day.
That's what I try to do.
Yeah.
Starting right now.
Wow.
So I've learned one thing today.
Good job.
And now I just have to learn something tomorrow and every following day until the day I've learned everything, because I'm immortal and I cannot die. I've tried.
Well, that's good.
So you went camping on the beach. Tell us a little bit about that.
I did. So it was pouring rain yesterday.
It was hailing.
It was bad.
Yesterday.
I packed up my stuff. I went over to another friend's house so we could drive together. I'm thinking the whole time that I'm not going to spend the night, because I'm like, I don't want to set up a tent in the rain, sleep in the rain, and then pack up my shit and go home in the rain. Like, that does not sound fun. Luckily for us, we got there. The rain had stopped. The ground was relatively dry for the amount of rain that had happened, and it didn't rain and the rest of the day for us. So
I think you've just now broken your streak here of every time we give life updates and you go on a trip that's not to your boyfriend's parents' house.
Yes.
Something always goes wrong.
Well, let me get to that.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
There was a lot of drinking involved. I had quite a few Jell-O shots. I also had some other beverages. Not very much food. The perfect recipe
for murder.
Nancy Drew's on the case.
Our favorite crime fighting murderer.
I love that crime fighter. No, but I got a little wasty pants. I was trying to help tend to the fire, and I might have fallen into all the firewood, and
Bryan lifts up his arm to show me a giant, what appears to be a cut, which is strange because I would have expected it to look like a burn, but it appears to be a cut.
It wasn't in the fire
on his forearm.
It was just in the wood.
Oh, and the not yet tossed firewood.
Yes.
Okay,
so
I
it
thought
was just
you meant
a pile
firewood
of
that
wood.
After the fire had been out and it's still charred and hot, you fall.
I can see how I might have misled you to think that, but no, it was literally just the wood. I also scraped up both of my legs and this arm as well, which is the worst part. It's a pretty big scrape. It's not quite a cut.
Let me see it again. Yeah, I mean that would require 2 Band-Aids to cover. It
hurts, yeah.
You need 2 Band-Aids.
We put Neosporin on it last night, so luckily that worked out. And I've been hungover all day, so I haven't really been.
Your intoxication level probably kept you from feeling the full pain until now.
Yeah, that's definitely
which is now probably amplified because you're hungover.
Yeah,
nice.
So what have you been up to while I was having this camping adventure?
Well, I had a shopping day yesterday.
Oh.
I spent, Dana and I went to, I think, Trader's Village.
Okay.
It's about an hour away.
I'm familiar.
Huge flea market. I spent the whole time trying to find retro video games and or collectibles. There were 2 stores that I went to. Both were horrible. They didn't have anything. There was one place and it had nothing but sports games, like old Nintendo sports games, which are not very valuable. They're like
what do you mean?
There are 1 or 2 gems, but
there's so much playback value in those old sports games.
Yeah, they age so well. But amongst all the rubble was one Nintendo 64 copy of Mario Party 2.
Ooh.
And if you're not in on the Mario Party collecting scene, 2 is the rarest one.
If you're not down with the clown, then you are now.
2 is the most expensive one.
Ooh.
Now, whenever I got my copy, it was about $60, but the price has been steadily going down because they released it on the eShop on the Wii U. So I knew that it was kind of valuable, but it was in this glass case on top of all these other sports games, and it had been placed in a way that the title was facing up and it was right side. Like it looked staged. It was like this scene from Indiana Jones where he finds the idol and the spotlight's on it, and he's like, oh. And I'm like,
so did you switch out another N64 game cartridge that you had with you as quickly as possible as to not set off the wait alarm?
I wish I would have, but I didn't. I sat there weighing my options because I thought, well, if he doesn't know anything about this, he'll probably sell it to me for like $10, $15. I can stop by GameStop on the way back and get maybe $20, $30 for it.
Interesting.
And then that'll be that, and I could just make some money. I finally just decided, what's the worst that could happen? I asked him like, oh, hey, how much do you want for this? And he was like, no hesitation, $50. And I was like, oh, okay. He knows.
He knows.
That's I'm not the first person.
That's why the spotlight was there.
I had to play dumb and be like, whoa, I had a Nintendo when I was a kid. I love Mario. Like, why is it so expensive? It's crazy.
I'll give you a nickel for it.
And so I was like, I don't, whatever. And he's like, oh, well, I'll make a deal with you. I'll give it to you for $40. And I'm just like, nope. I'm out of here.
I can't imagine like just a normal consumer. Obviously, what the game is worth and such, but I just imagine just someone who enjoys retro video games walking in, who's not like a huge enthusiast. Yeah. It's like, oh, how much for the Mario? I have great memories of Mario Party, and it's like $50. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll make a deal with you. $10 off. It'll be $40.
It sucked, but I ended up not buying anything there after looking.
You didn't want any of the fake Pokemon cards or...
I didn't find anything like that.
Really?
There were a lot of bootleg Pokemon plushies, though.
Yeah.
And I was close to getting a couple, but I didn't. There was one Poliwrath figurine, and it was about this big, and it was so detailed. And
you could see every little hair on Poliwrath's body.
I'm really mad I didn't get it.
Yeah.
It was in another case with a whole bunch of other figurines, and I just didn't want to deal with... There was a language barrier between me and the shop owner, and I didn't want to be like, oh, I want the Poliwrath, and they don't know what Poliwrath is.
That's why you talk louder.
Yeah,
when they don't understand you just talk louder until they get it.
My mom. But... yeah, so I didn't want to deal with trying to describe what it looked like and which one I wanted in like a huge case full of them, so I just didn't get it. Then after that, we went to the mall, and I was walking around, and first of all, there was another store I went into, and it was a bunch of Japanese collectibles. And this guy running this store was the weirdest, most uncomfortable person I'd ever met. Both he makes you feel uncomfortable, and he just looks like he's just uncomfortable. And he walks up to me, and I forget what the first thing was that he said, but he started talking about anime. And I'm a casual. I watch Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Fairy Tail, if it's on Netflix, I've seen it. That's about it. And I'm working on it. But he's like talking to me about all this obscure anime stuff, and I've made it pretty clear that I don't watch a lot of anime. I don't consume a lot of it. And he's still just on me about it. Yeah. And he was talking to me about how, what was it, Evangelion?
Yeah, it's on Netflix now.
Yeah, they raise the ages of all of them because it's considered child porn if they didn't, and they're all 14. And
that makes sense.
And he's mad that they did that. And in the original, like some 14-year-old girl died, and the bad guy like masturbated over her, and he's mad that they got rid of it. And like,
yeah, there's some weird masturbation scenes in that.
He was really upset.
It's interesting too. If I want, I can pause you real quick. It's interesting that someone is upset. They've already consumed the media, so whatever they consumed it in is, you know, the correct version or whatever.
Yeah.
So they already know, but they're mad that instead of making
the world doesn't
know it was supposed to be a 14-year-old. Like, I often wonder. I often have strong feelings about things for ridiculous reasons. And I don't think I've ever had strong feelings about something like as ridiculous as that.
Yeah. So I'm being lectured on this.
Yeah.
And he's really getting into the detail.
Sure.
And he started talking about other shows that kind of do the same thing. And I'm just very uncomfortable listening to, like, this is... It was just horrible. And the moment that interaction started happening, Dana fucking mashed that escape button and was just out of there.
Yeah.
So just... I was just, like, trying to maneuver my way out of the conversation. He just kept going.
Yeah.
And he could have been talking about anything else. Oh, there was one part where some anime theme song was playing on his speaker, and he goes, "Oh, do you know what this song is?" And I go, "No." And he's like, guess what anime it is.
Yes.
And he's like, "You might find your answer around the corner." So I kind of like look around the corner at this shelf.
He was gonna bunch of figures. You.
Get in line. And there were a bunch of anime figures, and I was like, is it One Piece? No. Is it Bleach? No. And I guess like 3 other things, and he was getting really upset, and he's like, "Are you going out of your way not to say it?"
Oh.
It's just like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And I forgot what the anime was, but I was like, yeah, again, I'm a casual. I don't watch anime. And he goes, "Well, that's like one of the most casual shows ever. Like, how have you not seen that?"
What was it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'd never heard of it. And we're recording in a room full of pop.
You could
pop culture
potentially
figures and
run your own thrift store in
and
here.
A lot of this stuff is from Japanese media. It's not like I'm trying to... There are people out there who don't really know the difference between cartoon and anime, or maybe it weirds them out. They don't watch it.
What's the difference?
What I'm saying is, if I don't know what the anime is, and I'm trying to... When something's popular, I try to have a general knowledge on it. And if I don't know it, then it's not casual.
Sure.
Because I'm like the gatekeeper keeping the casuals from the pro. That's like gatekeeper. Me. I'm like in the anime purgatory. When you've watched just enough anime to consider yourself a fan, that's where I am.
Okay.
Anime. Do you know your anime?
I probably know more anime than you.
That was a Green Day joke.
Oh, I don't listen to Green Day. You can gatekeep me from Green Day. Anime. So
so that happened. What else? I found a Waluigi T-shirt.
I like
it was
that
an
shirt.
Officially licensed Nintendo product, and it was in a Spencer's at the mall.
It says Waluigi time, and it's got a big little Waluigi with his fist out. It's pretty fun.
It was great. I'm glad that they have official Waluigi merchandise.
Yeah.
What a time.
What a consolation prize for not being in Smash.
Yeah, he gets a T-shirt.
He gets a T-shirt. Wow.
Nice.
Progressive. Brave.
I also discovered Reddit.
That is... The more I put brain power into thinking about it, the less that I understand it.
Okay, so I knew what Reddit was.
Yeah.
I've always known what Reddit was.
I've always known.
And my friends use it, and they show me memes and stuff from it, but it was never something to where it was practical for me to have, and I just saw it as another thing of social media, another branch of social media. But I finally, when I hit a huge chunk of free time and there was not a lot of things to do, so I made an account. And I didn't realize that Reddit is like Twitter, but you can really, really, really go down and like specify what exactly you want to see everyone talking about.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that it was that in depth, that I could have a full channel full of just people talking about collecting Jaws merchandise.
Yeah. Oh.
That's crazy to me.
It's just the whole thing is just full of niche communities.
Yeah. So Reddit's great. I wish I had hopped on. Well, I don't know. I feel like I'm more responsible now and I could use this power for good. Had I had access to this before, who knows how I may have turned out. But yeah, Reddit's great. And that's another development.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And I will toss the baton back to you.
Thanks.
Because I feel like I've been talking for days.
Not for days, but maybe
hours.
For minutes.
I wonder how many. What is the average lifespan of a dragonfly? Like 6 or 7 hours.
Oh, I don't know.
I ask as if you know, like as if that's information that everybody knows. I don't know. I remember reading something that dragonflies die every couple.
Short.
Like they are born and they die in less than a day.
I am confirming this. They live for 6 months.
What? Look up an insect that dies in a couple of hours.
Okay.
Let's look this up, because I remember hearing about one thing that
mayflies. Insects like the mayfly is known to only survive less than 24 hours as adults, but their death doesn't happen on their birthday. When still under development, the young mayflies spend a really long time underwater. If allowed to live, no insect dies of natural reasons within a day. And that's from Quora. Quora? Quora. 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 Quora.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, what I was getting at is I wonder how many insects died in the amount of time that I was talking. It's just a fun thought to have, a nice thought exercise for everyone out there who wants something to think about. There you go.
Yeah. I wonder how many people died while you were talking.
I was going to say that, but I'm trying to tone down the
morbidity.
Yeah, of just, that I'm turning over a new leaf. Animal Crossing new leaf.
Wow.
There's no new Animal Crossing news. That was just a connection that I made.
There is 2 things of Pokemon news.
Tell me more.
So, the Uniqlo Pokemon t-shirts have launched. They are officially available for purchase.
Swiggity swooty. I'm coming for that Pokemon booty.
Yeah.
Poke booty.
The second news is a little more somber.
Now, you'll hear why in a second when you read it.
Do you remember when we talked about Game Freak potentially not including all of the beautiful pocket monsters inside of the next addition to the game series, Pokemon?
Oh boy, I sure do. Brian Sullivan.
Well, worry no longer, because Junichi Masuda, who I believe is the game designer and producer. He works at Game Freak.
He's the director, right?
I don't know. He does a lot of stuff.
He's very important.
Here's his statement on bringing back the National Dex. Thank you all to all of our fans for caring so deeply about Pokemon. Recently, I shared news that some Pokemon cannot be transferred to Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield.
Bum, bum, bum.
I've read all your comments and appreciate your love and passion for Pokemon. Just like all of you, we are passionate about Pokemon, and each and every one of them is very important to us. I don't know. After so many years of developing the Pokemon games, this was very difficult. This was a very difficult decision for me. I'd like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in future games. The world of Pokemon continues to evolve. The Galar region offers new Pokemon to encounter, trainers to battle, and adventures to embark on. We are pouring our hearts into these games, and we hope you will look forward to joining us on this new journey.
Okay, do you want to open up your thoughts first, or do you want me to jump right in?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts. I think
a lot of people have a lot of thoughts.
I am glad that this was confirmed rather than like kind of just sitting out in the air, until the next game. So I'm glad that there was a statement made. I think that's good. But overall, I'm disappointed. Not in the sense that I'm like mad at them. I'm just sad that, I won't have whatever weird fucking Pokemon I want to use, And there's also another thing I kind of want to talk about before you give me your thoughts. But something I've noticed, outrage culture in general, people being upset about this news, people being upset with, Game Freak for not including all the Pokemon. There's a lot of, I may have talked about this before, but it really bothers me. There is a group of, like, there are people that have posted things that are just, nice and sad, to not see all the Pokemon in the games. Yeah. And then there's this counterculture of people who, instead of just like letting someone be upset about something or just letting them make a statement, they decide to respond to their comments, respond to their tweets, whatever, with this like vitriol, like, Game Freak is giving you so much. They wouldn't be able to keep all the Pokemon in there. They wouldn't be.
They're white knighting them. Yeah.
Right. And it's so crazy to me. And I understand and I get that this happens a lot. I think in this particular situation, it annoys me even more because if someone's had a particular Pokemon for, several years, they've played the game or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's not going to be, when you take things away from people get upset. And I think this is the most understandable reaction, I feel like.
Well, I think I think I probably said this before in another episode, but it's a broken promise. Yeah. You've made the Pokemon Bank, where you can upload your Pokemon into a server,
Pokemon Home,
with the promise that you will be able to transfer your Pokemon into into the future games. Sure. And people have been doing this for years. People have used transfer cables and Nintendo DS's with the Game Boy slot and the DS cartridge, and people have been that's like part of the fun of Pokemon is like transferring them all. There are charts, and to say that you can't transfer all your Pokemon is telling Pokemon fans, hey, anybody who's new to the series right now literally cannot catch them all. The whole concept of Pokemon is catching them all, and you cannot do that anymore.
You can catch them all.
As of right now.
You can catch all of the Galar region Pokemon.
Yeah, and that's infuriating. And I never transferred my Pokemon between games. Like, I would always, because it's always an after story feature, so I would always beat the story, have my already established team, and if I want to be competitive and verse other people, then I would transfer Pokemon over.
Yeah,
it doesn't really, so I'm not really affected by this on a large scale.
Yeah,
but I'm still mad for the other people who are affected by this, and also just the novelty of knowing, oh, I can put my starter from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, the best Pokemon games, into Sword and Shield.
They're not the best, but
yeah, they are. We're not going to do this, though.
Part of the problem with this is just, I feel like it's my personal opinion about these changes. I would rather see work go into creating all of the Pokemon and lose other features such as Dynamaxing, which I don't find exciting currently. And the game's not out, so it could be really cool. Who knows? But
probably won't be.
I mean, yeah, just looking at it from this perspective, it doesn't look exciting or very different, or, it doesn't look challenging, or not to sacrifice Pokemon that you could have had. And that's more where I would have liked to see work go into. It's not that I'm upset that Game Freak didn't do extra work to complete this. It's that I'm a little upset about where they prioritized it. And then also, yeah, I'm upset about people who, instead of just letting someone be like, hey, I'm sad about this, and I want to let the company know that I'm sad about this, which is a totally reasonable thing. We have to tell people that that's a healthy human thing to do, to tell someone when something upsets you. And then there's just all these white knights who, I guess, want to defend Nintendo so that they look like, or defend Game Freak, sorry, so that they look like true fans. I don't know. It just, I
think it just gives them, it gives them a sense of worth. Like, it makes them feel like they're a part of something, like they're, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And also, it's very frustrating that they would do that with this new game.
Sure.
There are a lot of people online who are speculating that, and I think it's very possible that, man, this is a really long build up and pause, like a lot of pauses here. I'm very heated that people out there actually think that. I think there's a lot of pressure for them to put out a Pokemon game every so and so years. And I feel like all this is because they want to release that Pokemon game this year.
Yeah.
They announced it super early. They were like, it's coming out this year. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, what happens, it's going to release this year. They, at this point, it's damned if they do, damned if they don't. They can't delay it now that people have seen it and they know its existence, because they're going to get a huge backlash.
They can't miss the holiday season. I think it's kind of the bottom line.
I'm sure Nintendo, as like
it's coming out in November
corporation, is they need a big title to release this year, and they're probably banking on Pokemon to be that. It's like that and Fire Emblem. I think Luigi's Mansion, that's not going to be a huge, that's like a, that's not going to be a system seller. It's Fire Emblem and Pokemon this year. Yeah. And they already had a big, massive blow with postponing Animal Crossing. So Pokemon needs to release this year. And I think that, along with just the pressure of, all right, every 3 years we have to release a Pokemon game, that's a cycle. They need more time. And it makes sense because they keep adding Pokemon, they keep adding mechanics, and they're not working on a portable they're working on like a home console. It takes longer to make them.
It does. At the same time, though, I feel like my frustration, it's not that I want them to work harder or work extra. I just want to see priorities. I don't want to see, how do I phrase this? I think Mega Evolutions were wildly successful. And that's, like, out of all the gimmicks they've done, Mega Evolutions and Alolan Pokemon forms are the two best.
I'm right there with you,
gimmicks in all of the Pokemon
I think Alolan is the best, and then Mega Evolution is a really close second.
Yeah.
And then just trainer customization.
Yeah. But in terms of those two gimmicks that, in every Pokemon game, there is at least, one or two kind of gimmicks that don't transfer over to the next, game, whether it be Pokemon contests or whatever, something similar.
Yeah.
And this is Dynamaxing, and this is some other stuff like that, the Coliseum based stuff. And I would have rather seen more work go in a different place.
Yeah. I agree. I think your take on it is a lot more rational than mine, but I still think that the industry and the hardware is changing, and their current development cycle needs to change and evolve.
Yeah.
Because they can't continue to go by the same way they've been doing it in the past couple of years. I think the hardware has changed to a point where I feel like it's going to take longer to do things, and it might. And looking at it from the surface, it might result in them taking things away that probably shouldn't.
I also think it's worth noting, part of my opinion is coming from, or part of the reason I feel a certain way, we know that they have all the models for all the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Those exist. Now, it is my opinion, because I don't create these games, and I don't create games in general, but it's my opinion that these models, these assets for these Pokemon are more than likely they would more than likely work in a different game. You know what I mean? And that's more of the frustrating part is knowing that they exist. I think the argument for not including for not doing that, not just like copy pasting assets over, but they wanted each Pokemon to have more personality show through with animations and such. Then do it on a fucking few of them and you know what I mean? I don't get it because they do every fucking Pokemon game. They do the same shit with Pikachu. Pikachu always has more work put into it. It has like real voice acting or whatever, and nothing else does. You know what I mean? It's not like wildly bizarre to do something like that where a few select Pokemon like the starters or something get love and then everything else just gets I don't know.
Well, I always think, why not profit off of the work you're going like. If you're going to update all the models, why not profit from it? And I would say that making a remaster of the next 2 games in line to get remastered is Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
Why not make a remaster for Switch of Diamond and Pearl? Then you're updating all the assets from that, which would carry over to Sword and Shield, while also allowing you to sell 2 sets of Pokemon games.
Which, like, to be fair, I don't know if that's 100% possible. There could be a reason, obviously, why they don't just do that.
Well, yeah, that would just be my...
Sure, but from an outside perspective...
surface level thinking.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear that we don't 100%... You know what I mean? We're not authorities.
I just think making an HD remaster of games that have fewer Pokemon, that have fewer established... Like, they remade Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So that means the 151 Pokemon... are already remade and ready to go for Sword and Shield. They could be in there unless they would go crazy and decide to make the models for those Pokemon again.
Well, so that's kind of the thing is even the ones like for Sun and Moon, even though it's on a 3DS, the assets for those models, I mean, are more than likely they more than likely have very high quality versions of them. I
think they use those models for Let's Go.
So I mean,
I remember there was a release where they were talking about all the models are future proof.
Yeah,
where they would work for the next several games.
So that's kind of where I'm like, okay, well,
and that's like one of the bigger arguments for it. It's messy, and I feel that it's just an upper management thing.
I guess
whenever. If you were in charge of a bunch of people and there was something that everybody wanted and you can't give it to them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been in this situation, but you tell them, hey, we can't do this, and you give them some bullshit reason.
Yeah.
And then they start looking into that, and then they start tearing it to pieces, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have given them anything.
Right.
Like, I should have just stuck to my guns and said, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is what they're doing right now. They're not telling us why. They're not going to give us a reason.
Yeah.
And if they give us a reason, we're just going to tear it down.
Right.
I think they're doing the right thing here.
I think this last statement was the best.
Because all this stuff about like the models and stuff, any excuse that, especially when it's not Nintendo coming up with it, it's just going to get torn apart.
Well, and it's also like, in my opinion, work fucking smarter and not fucking harder. Like if you're going to create stuff, create it to be future proof like that you can just use it in new things. People they have this idea, which is frustrating to see online. People have this idea that every single game they create the Pokemon every single time. I'm like, that is not efficient. That is not, I can almost guarantee you, not what happens. You know what I mean? They don't just remake them,
reuse as many things as possible.
Yeah. I don't know.
Which is great because then you get more.
Yeah.
Hashtag freaking, what was it? Gold and silver?
Hashtag bring back national decks.
What was it? Gold and silver. You, at the end of the game, it's like, oh, well, congratulations, you beat the game. You can explore all of Kanto now.
Yeah.
That would never happen now.
No, I believe I read that was kind of it was hard for them to do that. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, no, that was a Christmas miracle.
Yeah,
that was
it's just a very
Pokemon
cool
miracle.
thing.
But anywho, that I agree with what you're saying, and I still stick with what I said. He's saying that it's not going to happen. It's going to happen. It just means it's a lot less likely that it's going to happen at launch. It will be patched. There will be DLC, story.
I don't know.
There'll be like a story DLC that you can buy for the game.
I want to believe you.
Yeah, either an expansion, DLC, or a patch. National Dex will be added, mark my words.
Okay.
It's going to happen.
What do I get if I... Because if you're right,
well, I already
then I
threatened to eat
Dex.
a 3DS.
So
if it happened,
you'll eat a 3DS.
I need to look up. I think it would be. I think I would be fine if I consumed a 3DS.
Okay.
I think I'd be fine. I don't think there's anything in there that is poisonous or lethal.
I mean, probably like the metal.
Well, yeah, but I don't think it would be lethal. I don't think that would kill me.
I mean, it might cut up your insides.
Well, I mean, in this scenario, I'm thinking of. Have you seen Will It Blend?
Yes.
Yeah, just will it blend it to a 3DS and just put that dust in like a milkshake and I'll just chug it. But this is a negative mindset. I need to talk as if, because I mean, I'm right. I won't have to eat a 3DS, but I will if I'm wrong. That's how confident I am.
Well, Andy, it seems, in my eyes, my current perspective, that one of my worst fears has come true.
Santa isn't real.
No, the Pokemon not being included in the game.
Oh, I thought you were starting a new thing, and I was like, man, this is just a horrible.
Well, it was
bad news after bad news.
It was an intro to our next segment.
Oh, okay.
Where we're talking today about childhood fears.
Oh, okay. Spooky.
Spooky, ooky. We got spooks. We got gags. We got scares. We got screams. We're terrified of
dragons.
Blank. So what are some of your fears?
Fears in general?
Let's just get to know each other a little bit. Why don't you just tell me a little bit
things that
about,
I'm scared of?
Hey, just tell me what you're scared of.
You know,
no reason.
I've seen Us, and that movie didn't scare me. I didn't think it was very scary at all. Cut to now. I saw it when it first came out. Cut to now, and that movie now terrifies me.
Interesting.
I have, in my living room, I have a huge window that covers the width of my entire living room. So I have to walk through the living room to get to the kitchen. And when it's nighttime, my roommate, it goes out of her, it seems like she goes out of her way to leave all of the blinds wide open at night. So whenever I'm going to the kitchen to get something, all the lights are off. Everything's pitch black, but the moonlight illuminates the backyard ever so slightly. And I have to walk through this entire moonlit living room to get to the kitchen to get something. And I always think of Us because I think about the family just holding hands outside of that cabin. And I just think about what I would do if I looked out that huge window and saw there were just people in the backyard staring at me,
spooked,
and they immediately start like sprinting to the sides and taking action and stuff. Like, what would I do?
You'd probably just die.
And that just terrifies me. Do I run back? Do I stay in the kitchen? Do I turn the lights on? Do I use darkness as cover? Like, what? I don't know, but that terrifies me. My fears as I got older turned into a lot less monsters and stuff and more of just
people,
fight or flight.
It's like when you
they're people.
It's like when you're at the zoo and you're looking through the whatever exhibit, and at the very end there's like a lift up to see the most dangerous animal of all, and you lift it up and it's a mirror and it's humans.
Honestly, humans are fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what are you scared of?
What am I scared of? I would say my pageant answer is probably spiders.
Oh, well,
spiders
I could have
terrify
said spiders.
me, yeah.
I just mean things that keep you up, things that really make your
spiders fuck me up, man.
Oh wow.
It comes and goes. Sometimes it's not so bad. Things that keep me up though, I often when you're describing the walking past the window kind of feeling, that also gets me. I definitely experience that on a daily basis, like at night. Just walking anywhere where there are windows and darkness outside is just super weird. It's just that unknown, you don't know what's out there, or what if there is something out there, then what do you do? I don't know if that's necessarily one of my biggest fears, but I am also afraid of, I had it on the tip of my tongue and now I don't. Afraid of
aliens are also scary. I actually, now I'm just thinking about it, just being totally powerless just freaks me out. Just like aliens.
Yeah.
Like, let's say that aliens exist. What are you gonna do? There's nothing you could do.
Yeah.
They're just alien spaceships abducting, and you couldn't do anything about it. It's just a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's freaky.
Aliens, man.
Aliens.
I don't know. I think I'm afraid of so much that it's hard to come up with like a precise answer on what exactly I'm afraid of.
I actually wanted to make a video about this.
About fear?
About things that Hollywood has turned into a fear. Like, let's start off broad and then get specific. Ghosts are scary. Demons are scary. Now let's get a little bit more specific. Sharks are scary. Let's get a little bit more specific. Santa Claus is scary. Children's toys are scary. Visiting your grandparents are scary. Going camping in the woods is scary. Superman's scary. Children's animatronics are scary. Clowns are scary. What else is something very innocent that leprechauns are scary?
Huh.
Fairies are scary.
Hey, you watch your mouth.
What else we got?
I will say, so I did think of it. You talked about this the other day because you told me Chucky scared you as a child.
Yeah.
And in response, I immediately felt like there's a fear of... It's such a bizarre... Like, I've never found the right words to exactly describe it to someone, but it's not dolls. But dolls can be a pretty big component of this fear. It is any humanoid-shaped thing that is smaller... That is like a kind of very small size walking around. And oftentimes, yeah, it's dolls. Sometimes it's like, whatever, a fairy or something like that. But those things tend to terrify me the most because as in your other scenarios, like, what the fuck do you do? A doll just like stands up and starts walking. Like, what the fuck? Like, I think my brain
There's
would
actually
break.
a lot of things you could do. I mean, I'm also terrified of this, and I'll go into my story about this in a second. But realistically, you're so much bigger, unless they had a weapon.
Well, that's the thing. So, like, they usually have weapons.
Yeah.
That's pretty big. They usually have weapons, and then also they're usually so, like, they don't feel pain or whatever.
They're really fast.
The running.
Agile.
Oh, the running. I just imagine, picture in your brain, your hallway.
I'm already picturing it.
Okay. And now picture just a little doll running across with a knife. Ah!
Yeah, no, what?
Just super low to the ground.
One thing that scares me is, and I'll try to make the sound like
the pitter-patter?
Like the scampering. This is the really fast, rapid, like it's approaching really fast. And I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, and I don't know why, but we consistently fall back to this conversation every couple of years. And one of his fears is the things that crawl on the ceiling.
Ooh.
And they're like,
yeah, that's
like,
a good
imagine
one.
if you look up and there's like something crawling on something that's humanoid, but it's all distorted. But yeah, I think of with Chucky though, I saw the DVD cover as a kid and grocery shopping with my mom, and that terrified me. And I always avoided seeing the movie. I stayed up almost every night in third grade, just terrified that thing was going to kill me, speculating on like the worst things that this thing could be and what it could do and all the other stuff. I never seen any of the movies, never read any of the stories, I don't know anything about it, just saw the cover, been avoiding anything having to do with it forever. And I finally saw the movie, and I'm really let down. It wasn't scary at all. I've been psyching myself out for years thinking about how horrible this thing is, and the practical effects in that movie, and just the whole premise in general is so bad.
Yeah.
That had I just watched the movie as a kid, I would not be scared today. Yeah. Or I wouldn't be scared. I wouldn't have been scared.
Kind of the whole thing it has going for it, besides the campy stuff about the guy, getting his soul trapped in the doll and everything, besides all that, I mean, it is literally just a doll with a knife is why it's scary.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
There's nothing else about it that's scary. It's just that there is a doll with a knife
and I think
running around.
It's really sinister and scary. Have you seen the movie?
A long time ago, yeah.
What's really sinister and scary is the fact that or there's they're in a police station and they're talking to the kid or something, and finally the kid's like, he said he was gonna kill me if I told anybody that he's alive, but he's alive, and the doll's just like lifeless in the background, and that was really freaky. Just the kid saying, oh, this doll did this and told me this and said and has been watching me and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
You don't see the doll doing these things, but you hear the kid saying it, and that's oh man, that is several layers of just horrifying.
But if you think about it too, if that situation happened in real life, I mean, you would think the kid was just like, you wouldn't necessarily think. Obviously, you're going to see the movie, so you know that the doll is like fucked up and there's something going on with it. Yeah. But in real life, like, if a kid just said something about a doll like that, you'd be like, well, that's fucking creepy, but like, all right.
Well, I think we had, whenever we were talking about Chucky before in the office, you said something similar, and I understand, and I don't want to be that guy to ruin your example, but I'm going to be. I feel like I'm the one person on this planet who, if a child was
you're
like,
so special.
Oh, this doll is saying is going to kill me, I'd be like, man, I don't believe you. You're crazy, whatever. And then I would get into my car and then I would just start driving, trying to get as far, because I can't let the doll know that I know it's real.
Yeah.
That's alive.
Well, so here's the twist. The doll's in the car already and he's stabbing your seat.
Just like the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was freaky.
You fucked up.
That
He's strangling you. Stabbing you.
No. Don't do that. Why am I dying in this? But then something... No.
If you're a character enough to be around this child and he's telling you, you gotta die.
No.
Yeah.
Because I feel like because he tried to kill the mom, but only when the mom was about to throw the doll into the fire. And the mom was screaming at this thing, like, trying to... Oh, another thing about the original Chucky movie is it's kind of campy, cheesy. It's not very good, but there are a couple scenes in it that are actually really good.
Yeah. The
scene where she's throwing the box away, and then the batteries fall out of the box and hit the floor after the doll had been talking the whole movie.
Yeah.
That, like...
Well, that is good filmmaking in the sense of, like...
That was just good storytelling.
It's good storytelling because you're showing, not telling, which is pretty...
And then the mom picks it up, and then she looks over at the doll, and the doll's looking at her. Yeah. And it was at that moment when both the doll and the mom knew, like... It is just like, oh, no. That was... Yeah. The dolls, they still freak me out, but after watching Chucky, I was just like, nah.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoy it. I need to see... I've been reading the articles about the other movies, and I can't believe there's, like, 6 or 7 of these things. That's great. They're like Rocky movies.
I watch horror movies, but I don't like to do it necessarily alone.
I hate watching them alone.
Yeah, but I do have this weird proclivity where... Proclivity. That's the word of the day. I have this weird thing where I like to... And I don't think it's weird in the sense that it's unique to me. I think a lot of people do this, but it's like just a weird thing that I do. I read the Wikipedia plot synopsis of scary movies that I don't necessarily like. I'm a little too scared to like watch right now, but like I want to know what happened and how the people died or whatever. Like I want to read it. What was spooky? I want to know the story without having to be spooked.
I'll do that. Like I did that with all the Chucky movies after I watched the first one.
Yeah.
I have to have watched at least one of the movies to read the plots about the other ones. Yeah,
I've mostly done this with Final Destination and
Oh, you gotta watch the YouTube compilations of all their deaths.
So that's I can't do that. I just feel so empathetic to people oftentimes dying. Like I place myself in their shoes so much that it's like gut wrenching for me to watch these things oftentimes. So I'm like, I can't. Sometimes I just can't.
Yeah, I can't really think of any horror movies that have really gotten to me.
I can't watch Saw, not because I'm like scared of it, but it's that same feeling of like, it makes me feel hopeless because, you know, they're in the trap and then I'm immediately imagining myself in the same trap. What would I do? Oh, would I cut out my own fucking eyeball?
Oh, Saw?
Yeah, I can't do it. It makes me feel so sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think horror movies, I usually don't understand how scary the concept is until I'm alone after the movie.
Yeah.
Because
and you're walking past that window.
It really hits you when you find yourself thinking about that movie at long after you've watched it. Most horror movies I don't really give any thought to, but there's like a very select few that I just think about. Have you seen Oculus?
No, but I believe I've watched a review on it or something.
In this movie, there's a demon that's inside of a mirror, and it's just that movie really. Oh yeah, that was another thing. Mirrors are scary. There's several movies about mirrors.
Yeah.
Being in the dark scary, and also being in the light is also scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Step parents are scary. Orphans are scary.
Orphans, yeah.
Yeah, so there's just so many things that are scary. I don't know where I was going, but I just went back to that other thing. I want to make a full video just saying what they've made scary, just everything they've ever done. Yeah,
go for it.
Nuclear fallout's scary.
Yeah.
Birds are scary.
Yeah.
Weather's scary. TV's scary. The internet's scary.
Well, with that, it looks like we've run out of time.
Yeah, I'll have my full in-depth list in the next episode.
Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed our podcast today. This was Desk Pop.
And it still is, and always will be forever.
But it was.
It